Hi, so welcome to another reading vlog. I'm actually managing to start this on a Monday, but mainly because it's a public holiday and so I have the day to sort myself out. And honestly, I really needed this day. In fact, I needed yesterday too, but I spent all of yesterday looking for my lost keys, which I still haven't found, and will I ever find them? I don't know. They certainly are within the house. Anyway, I've decided I can't spend any more time on that, so I'm just going to have to wait for them to show up. I do have spare keys, I'm okay. Reading-wise, let's talk about my reading plans for the week. Primarily, the physical book I'm going to try and get through is The Stone Sky. This is the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I've actually been reading this for most of the month, but I keep having to put it aside for different reasons. I am really enjoying it, but I haven't gotten very far through. It's also really hard to talk about because it is the third book in a series, but primarily we're following this mother and daughter who both have these abilities to manipulate the earth, and they're both very powerful. There's these obelisks that hang in the sky that they're able to manipulate, and there's a big thing going on with the moon, which I'm really excited about. I don't know how it's going to pan out, whether they're actually going to manage to save the world or whether they're going to destroy the world. I don't know, but I'm really loving this, and so this week I'm definitely going to focus on reading this. I mean, technically I also have these 3 books from my TBR that I was supposed to be reading. And this is like not even on my TBR, this was on my September TBR. But regardless, I want to read this one. So these will just have to wait. Maybe I can find some time for them. We will see. It's not so bad if I don't finish them, because I was doing that thing this month where if I don't finish any books, I'm going to donate to charity as a punishment. And so like that would be okay. As well, I do have some audiobooks. So this morning I started listening to Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. This is the 4th book in the series, I think. And so again, it's hard to talk about. Percy Jackson is half a god. This is a really popular middle grade series. A lot of people on BookTube read it when they were younger. I didn't read it when I was younger because I was too old by the time these books came out, but I'm reading them just to know what they're like. And they're a lot of fun. I do like the way it incorporates Greek mythology into like the real world. And as the title suggests, in this one we're going to go underground, I think, to explore the labyrinth. I also really like labyrinths, mainly because of the movie The Labyrinth, which is one that came out when I was a kid. So it had a big impact on me. You know, movies that come out when you're kids they stick with you and they help form who you are as a person. So I've got that. Also, I think I should finish that off like today or tomorrow. So I also have the audiobook of a book that I can't tell you about. Because it is the final book for my secret library project, so I'm gonna read that. However, I will note that I won a competition to pick a book for Jashana this month, and I picked the book that I'm gonna be reading, and she DNF'd it, which is not a good sign. So I guess we'll see how we go. Good morning. So I hacked off a bunch of my hair and I have regrets and I still don't know what I'm doing with it. Anyway, last night I found my lost keys. If you were watching my last vlog, I lost my keys. I spent 4 hours looking for them, and do you know where they were? In my office, I have this spare bed, and right at the bottom of it is this stupid chest. And they were down that gap between the chest and the bed. I must have thrown them when I went into the bathroom, thrown them down here, and they went down that gap. Why would I do that? Because I don't need my keys in here? I don't know, but that's what I did. Anyway, I found them, finally. So it's super early in the morning now. What I've been trying to do is every morning I get up. At the time, I would have to drive into the office and then I walk around. I was gonna go outside and walk. Whoa, that's white. I was gonna go outside and walk around, but I found it kind of works better to walk around the house and do some housework, like productivity. So I've been doing that. This morning I've been listening to Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. I don't know what to say about it. It's just Percy Jackson. It's fun. It does a good job of incorporating Greek mythology, and it has some good lessons in it without being like too bashing you over the head with those lessons. I can definitely see why a lot of people like this as a kid, and I'm having fun, but I also just feel like one thing runs into the next, but maybe that's just my state of mind. Also, if you notice, my skin has random red blotches. It's having some kind of freak out. Last year I had was it last year or earlier this year? Anyway, I had a possible diagnosis of maybe I have lupus. So either this is eczema or it's lupus. Lupus would make sense because lupus doesn't like the sun, and it's started to get sunny and my skin has started melting down. But that's life, I guess. Also last night, let's walk around over here. I did manage to get myself about halfway through the stone sky. So it's here and you can see I'm halfway through. Bonus. So this, I don't really know what to say about it because it is the third book in a series. Basically at the moment we're primarily alternating between the mother and the daughter, and they kind of have opposing goals in some ways. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when they finally meet up. I really wish we would also get a bit more of this like backstory of this third character, because we're only getting one chapter from that every now and then, but I am really liking that. Also, I just really love the writing in this. I've heard some people say that they don't like the writing style, and I realize that the second person is a bit much for some people. And like those backstory characters, they're written in first person, but there's also a lot of references to we, because they're part of a group, and they're part of a group in a way that's beyond the normal human way of being part of a group. Anyway, I'm really loving it and I will continue on with that. I'm really impressed for getting halfway through after struggling to make progress on this for so long. So hopefully this will be the beginning of a good reading week. It's actually Tuesday. It feels like Monday because yesterday was a public holiday. So I'm going to have to try and get my brain back into normal life. Also, the rest of the week, I'm going to have to go into the office. So today is the day to do work, but also like do a little bit of housework whenever I can take a break. I mean, I should have done it all yesterday when it was a public holiday, but I ran out of time yesterday. There's just never enough time. Anyway, today I'm going to hopefully finish off Percy Jackson and then I will check in with you again. Hello, so I'm going to try and do a car park update, although there's music in the background, so we'll see how loud that is. Basically, this is the parking building where I park when I come into town. Sadly, I have to work in the real world today, but last night I did finish off Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. I quite liked it. I think what the series does really well is it always has so many threads going on, and then they do all link up in the end, which it does that really well. As well, this particular one had a bit of an environmentalist theme, which I thought was quite well done. The only thing I think I'm missing from this series is that I don't feel very emotionally attached to the characters, but I think that's just because like they're so young and I'm so old, and so I don't relate to them. But I definitely see that I would have liked it when I was younger. I think I say that every time I talk about this book, but it is a lot of fun. It's really clever. I don't know what it would read like if you didn't know any Greek mythology, but I guess you'd learn it as you go along. Anyway, while I was getting ready this morning and driving to work, I've been listening to The Black Prism, and I'm kind of liking it so far. We've got this one character who has his brother locked up in the basement, and he's the all-powerful one, and then we're also following a kid who I think is his son, who has had to go on the run because of this war, and I expect that they're going to meet up at some point. I can already see like a hint of what people have talked about with this book is that it's a little bit sexist. Probably nothing too overt yet, but I'm only how far in? A couple of hours already. But it's a 21-hour book, so I'm only 10%. Oh, I'm in the app that actually tells me a percentage. Anyway, I had best go and get to work, but on my drive home, I'll be able to listen to more of this. Okay, so I wasn't going to film again down here so soon because I know the lighting's kind of terrible, and like, what is this annoying red mark on my head? But just as I was driving to work, I learned some things about the Black Prism. So this main Black Prism guy, I was really confused because he mostly seems like a good guy, but at the same time he's quite manipulative and sometimes a bit of a jerk, and he definitely has quite a few secrets, as well as having his brother locked down in his basement. So I was like, what's going on with him? And then the whole fact that this 16-year-old boy is his bastard, but some of that seemed off as well. But on the way here in the car, I found out what was going on with that, and I really liked the way it was done. So I've decided I'm really enjoying this book. We've also had another couple of point of view characters introduced. So we've got this girl named Karis, who originally these two brothers were fighting over, and potentially that's what caused the war. She's like a really tough soldier, so I quite like her story as well, although we haven't gotten much yet. And there's also another girl who has been hired to be a spy of the Black Prism, and she's supposed to try and seduce him, which I'm not sure how well that will work, but maybe, because is he good, is he not? I don't know still, but I'm excited to find out. So it's finally Saturday. I kind of lost track of the last couple of days because I had so much work to do, but now I can get my shit back together. I'm about to head over to hang out with Jace, but I thought I would catch you up. So reading wise, I finished off The Black Prism and I really liked it. I was a bit disappointed that like all the secrets didn't get revealed. I was really waiting the whole book for The Black Prism's secrets to be revealed and for shit to go down, and some things did, but not everything, which is fair enough because it is a 5-book series. And I'm now quite excited to read the rest of the series. And I do think, like, if you like Brandon Sanderson, then I think this is maybe a book you'd like to give a go. Has a lot of similarities. There's like a really creative magic system that's quite scientific in its execution. There's a lot of in-depth world building, like the politics and the religion is very complex. And I think it kind of investigates religion in the same way that Brandon Sanderson often does, and that it's quite questioning about religion. I also think it has like a similar sense of humor to what Brandon Sanderson has. Like some of the things the characters say or the situations they end up in every now and then is just a little bit lighthearted and fun, but it can also be quite intense, and the characters are all set in these ways where they've got different perspectives and you're not really sure who's in the right even when they disagree with each other. And then there's things being revealed all through the story, so you're learning more and more about what's going on, and as you learn things it kind of changes your perspective of everything. So I really enjoyed it and I'm definitely looking forward to continuing that series. Other than that, I did also read some more of The Stone Sky. I think I've got about 130 pages left to go on this. So I'm actually going to try and finish it this weekend. And even though October finishes today, if I can finish it tomorrow, I'm going to count it as part of October. Although we'll see how we go because I am going to Jason's today, tonight, and I have a lot of stuff to do this weekend and I don't really think that I've got enough time to do it. But regardless. This I'm really enjoying. I don't remember where I was up to last time I updated you on it, but we're really starting to see a lot more of what's left of this ancient civilization and what's left of its technology, as well as there's this backstory where you're seeing what I suspect is going to be the events leading up to the downfall of this civilization, and perhaps whatever it was that triggered all these endless apocalypses that the world has been going through. At the same time, the characters that we're following are just being put in such difficult situations and I feel lots of emotions for them. So I'm excited to read the last bit of this and hopefully I can find enough time for it this weekend. As well, this morning I realized I had to hurry to the library to pick up a couple of books. So I had these two. The first one is Swamp Thing by Maggie Stiefvater, which is a graphic novel. I think about these twins and one of them goes into the swamp and gets some kind of superpowers, perhaps. And then this one, Monstrous Volume 5. The art in this series is absolutely beautiful and the storyline's quite complicated, so good luck to me remembering what was going on and following the story in this one. But honestly, the art is so cool. So I love it, and even if I don't understand what's going on, I will enjoy it. And I did find I reread the whole series when I got to volume 4 and that helped me understand it a lot. So if I don't understand this one, then when we get a few more volumes in, I'll do another reread and maybe I'll understand it then. I feel like I'm going into it saying I won't understand it, but maybe. Anyway, those will be exciting. Also, I should be able to fit them into November, because at least they're like graphic novels, so they're quick reads. I already have too many books on my November TBR, so that is a problem. Also at the library, I stopped by the free bin. There was just one book in it, but it was this one. It's a Mercedes Lackey book that I haven't read, and it's the second book in probably a trilogy, and I think it's one of the later ones, which I read some of them and they weren't as great. So the Valdemar series was really the series that I read a lot of through my teens. It's all about this magical world where there's magical horses that like select people to become heralds of Valdemar, and they travel around making everything wonderful. There's like a billion books in the series and I really like it. But these last books, I don't know. But this is a beautiful book, so maybe I will try and find the first book in this trilogy. It does actually follow the same characters from another series that I did read. So maybe I'll read it, but whatever, it's pretty. So I thought I would pick it up since it's free, right? I may as well. So I think that's all my updates for now, and I will probably check in again tomorrow when I've finished the Stone Sky. Hi, so I'm here to wrap up the vlog, but I thought I would just show you what just arrived in the mailbox. I got, finally, my Descender t-shirt that I ordered from Dustin Nguyen's artist store ages ago. I also got this other t-shirt. It's got all the characters like hidden in the word Descender. That I'm not showing that to you properly at all, am I? All the characters in the word Descender. Down there is Drilla, my favorite. So I'm super excited. I actually ordered this like months ago, but it took ages to turn up. And I don't blame that on the artist store. I think that's just shipping at the moment is very inconsistent to New Zealand at the moment. So then also last night I finished reading this, cried myself to sleep afterwards. This was a really cool story. It's so unlike anything I've ever read before. I would say that I think maybe the first book had more of an emotional impact, but this last book, things have just grown to be on such an epic scale, and it had like a lot of good messages in there about oppression of different races and the sustainability of the way we run our civilization and our world, but also just like so many cool ideas in the way that the magic system works. It was just so cool. And also I really liked the way that it built up this relationship between the mother and the daughter, and how that came together in the end was the thing that was just so upsetting. And just so many amazing lines from the daughter's perspective about how she viewed the world in a way that just made me really think about things. So if you haven't read this series yet, I really recommend you pick it up. I really liked it. So I feel like this last week of October is the only one where I started reading some adult books instead of some YA books, and it's also the only one where I really loved the books that I read. So what does that tell me? It tells me I need to read more adult fantasy and science fiction, but I also know that I put a lot of YA on my November TBR, so we'll see how that goes, I guess. I do have some adult books for November. Anyway, November is a whole different vlog. I'm going to wrap this vlog up for now, but thank you for hanging out with me this last week. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about in this video, because I would love to talk with you more about them down in the comments. Otherwise, I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.